If I can share with you all a truth, a universal truth, is that no matter what, when you come to a theme park, you're more than likely going to be waiting in a line. Luckily for us, Universal Orlando has some of the coolest queues in any theme park worth waiting for. So in this video, I want to share with you guys the top 10 best queue lines here at Universal Orlando. I said queue lines. Is that like saying the same thing twice, like line? I don't know. Let's get this video started. Welcome to the latest episode of Vincent Vision. Watcha! So starting off my list at number 10 is Fast and Furious Supercharged. Regardless what you may feel about the ride, this is actually one of the better queues here in the park. I think it is actually very well done. It's got some really great things to look at. All of the cars from the movies, which are some of them are actually screen used. It also has some really fun Easter eggs, including callbacks to rides that used to exist in this exact spot. In the queue for Fast and Furious Supercharged, there are actually multiple nods to those former attractions. There's a desk on the left of the queue. If you look over, there's a jacket that's hunched over the chair. That's actually a jacket from Disaster, the former ride that was here before Fast and Furious. And in that caged room where the license plates are and all those car parts and mechanical parts, kind of hard to see because you'll have to turn around as you're leaving that room, but there is a little statue of Beetlejuice right up there on the top. Thank you to the team members for letting me stop to get a good look at that. And once you go past the pre-shows, there's a room with circuit breakers. The codes on them are actually references to each of the attractions that existed in this space and when they opened up. There's one for Beetlejuice, there's one for Earthquake, and there is one for Fast and Furious. So be on the lookout for those really fun ride Easter eggs next time you find yourself going through the Fast and Furious queue. And I mean, yeah, the pre-show is a little corny, a little goofy, and really the whole building is just like a warehouse. So theming wise and variety wise, it's not super high on the list because of that, but it does have some really, really great and smart Easter eggs. You should definitely be on the lookout if you ever find yourself doing the Fast and Furious ride here at the park. Number 9 on my list is The Revenge of the Mummy. This is one of my favorite rides here at the park, and it has a very cool line, a lot of fun interactive elements. It is very well themed. There's this like jewel box in the middle of one of the rooms that actually activates a special effect, but you have to do it right. 2 people have to be on both sides of the box, and they have to put their hand down at the same time. And when you do it right, up on the ceiling, the symbol of the Magi appears. There's also this small room where if you look in the hole, there's a piece of treasure that's floating. If you stick your hand in there to reach it, you'll get hit with a blast of air, and all the lights in the room will turn off, giving you a nice little surprise, nice little scare. And one of the best ones is like the Scarab Air Scare, I guess is what we can call it. There's a mirror that's showing people in a couple rooms ahead. When the Scarab glows blue, you can push it and it'll actually blast air to the people in that part of the line. And then there's something that could be a reference to King Kong, the former attraction that used to be here. There's the Magi and there's the face of the mummy used throughout the ride and the line. I've been told that it's meant to resemble a gorilla's face, kind of like the gorilla that used to be in this building over here. You guys let me know what you think about that one. I can kind of see the resemblance. It does look like a gorilla, but it also looks like a scary, evil mummy as well. But it is very dark in there. The queues are very winding, and it's all kind of the same. You know, it's just all like Egyptian tube, which is cool. But I think some of the other lines in this list are gonna have a lot more variety per each room, and that is why Revenge of the Mummy is at number 9. All right, number 8 brings us over to Islands of Adventure, and we are swinging on over to the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. Now, I think Spider-Man is one of the best rides here at the park, and it also has a really cool queue. You are going through the offices of the Daily Bugle, and one of the best rooms here in the Spider-Man line, I think, is that room where all the reporters' desks are. There's so many details, little fun things to look at, and I think this queue in particular does a really, really good job of making you feel like you are being transported into the comic books. Though one of my favorite parts of this queue is actually in the express line, where you get to go through Peter Parker's office. You can see his desk, his workplace, and you can go to the photo room where maybe somebody, maybe Peter Parker, has gone up to the ceiling into the vents to switch into his Spider-Man costume. And there's also a really great statue of J. Jonah Jameson out in the outdoor queue for this ride, though you never want to be here when you're waiting all the way back over there. Apart from that though, there's not too much variety, and one of the coolest parts of the line is unfortunately behind a paywall. You have to have Universal Express to go through Peter Parker's office. That's what puts this ride here at number 8. Now, number 7, for me, is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. The ride is amazing. I would say for a lot of people, this is the best ride in the park. And the queue is pretty great too. You're exploring an abandoned castle, meeting Hagrid in the Forbidden Forest, and this queue, just like all of the Harry Potter rides, are loaded with tons of details and things to look at as you're passing through. It does have some downsides though. I think there is a lot of time waiting outdoors in the brutal heat, especially during the summer, and there are a lot of winding, narrow caves that you just go through. There are some very cool rooms here, and then there's a lot of just caves and hallways that feel like they go on forever. And that is because this ride here, the queue for it at least, is left over from Dragon Challenge and what used to be Dueling Dragons before that. And there's actually some really fun references to Dueling Dragons in the Hagrid's queue. One of them, as soon as you enter the castle, there's a painting for a dueling club where it's a fire dragon and an ice dragon, which were the two dragons that went up against each other on the Dueling Dragons roller coaster. And there's a reference to Dragon Challenge as well. In the room with the windows on the left-hand side, there are cabinets on the right, and if you look inside, there's actually a golden dragon egg from the Triwizard Tournament, but was also in the queue for Dragon Challenge when it was Dragon Challenge. This ride also used to have a pre-show that I don't really see happen anymore. I think it adds a lot of fun to it, but I think it also backed up the queue immensely, and that's why they don't do it anymore. Hagrid's is a really great queue. It's not my favorite of the Harry Potter rides, but it is a very solid queue for a very awesome ride experience. Number 6 for me has to be the Jurassic World Velocicoaster. Out of all the big coasters here at Universal, this has the best queue easily. A lot more going on in it than I originally thought too, I have to admit. First things first, we've got to praise the fact that Velocicoasters brought the double-sided locker here to Universal, which makes life so much easier. You don't have to put your phone away and then wait 3 hours to ride the Incredible Hulk anymore. You can bring it with you up to the middle checkpoint, then head up the stairs and get on the ride. Makes life so much easier, such a big quality of life improvement. I wish all of the other big coasters here at Universal did. You've got those really cool raptor statues with the Velocicoaster in the background. There's only one other place that statue exists. It's at Universal Beijing in their Jurassic World land. You've got the launch tunnel where you get to see the 70-mile-per-hour launch, and then you have raptors running alongside the roller coaster train. Really, really cool special effect. In that very same room, there's a fun little Easter egg to the first Jurassic Park movie. There's a glass of water right by one of the windows there, and it's mid-ripple, which is obviously a callback to the iconic T-Rex scene. And then of course there are the raptors getting ready for their raptor run. There's these really impressive animatronics blinking and breathing and snarling. They are so cool. Getting a good look at those raptors before you jump onto the ride itself is so nice. Then you get upstairs, just a fun video with Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, and then you jump on the best roller coaster here at Universal. The outside queue, where you might be waiting for a long time, especially during the busy times of the year, can be brutal, especially during the summer, but you do get a really great view of the roller coaster flying by. You get to see the very, very intense Mosasaurus roll right up in front of you. Definitely got to get a cool slow-mo video of that while you're waiting in line. Velocicoaster, amazing ride. Really, really great queue. Now we are heading into the top 5 best lines here at Universal, and starting off at 5 is Men in Black Alien Attack. The great thing about the Universal Orlando experience is getting onto these rides that make you feel like you're being transported into the movies, into the TV shows, and the Men in Black Alien Attack queue does an amazing job making you feel like you are in the actual Men in Black. It's also got a really fun story as well. I love the whole Universe and You premise. Now this is just like a World Expo exhibition that's actually the Men in Black here in Orlando. Tons of details in this queue. Lots of animatronics as well. Big points for that. You get all of the fun little aliens in the queue. You can see the aliens in the immigration floor. Those guys over there. Interactive elements as well. There are handles you can jiggle that'll cause air to shoot out at you or doors to shake. There is a bit of a pre-show element as well. Sometimes with team members acting as performers, sometimes not. But you get to go into that elevator. There's just like so much happening in the Men in Black queue, which makes it really, really great. Now, number 4 on my list is another Harry Potter attraction. It is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. This is such an amazing queue. It is filled with details. I mean, the entire building is just like so next level. And there is one reason that this queue is as good as it is. It is because of that amazing bank lobby with the giant chandelier, the goblins. That room alone carries this entire queue because there's a lot of bald spots on this queue as well. I don't think people talk about how grueling it is to wait in that giant outdoor queue behind Gringotts Bank. And once you get past the elevators, it really is just like a dark and cavernous hallway, but it is still one of the coolest queues here in the park. It has a great pre-show experience with the elevator down to the vaults. This is one of those rides that if you are going with your group and you don't want to ride the ride, still go with them so you can see the amazing bank lobby and the lift and everything else, and then get on out of there right before you have to get on the ride. The Escape from Gringotts, number 4, such an awesome queue. Now my number 3 might be a controversial one, but I love it. I think it is so cool. It is Skull Island, Reign of Kong here at Islands of Adventure. I think simply this is one of the best lines here at Universal. It's just so well done. The entire building top to bottom is just so well themed for the story of this ride. I love all of the rock work. I love all of the skulls on the outside. Also, as far as queues go here in the park, it is like pretty damn scary. Definitely the scariest line here in the park, much scarier than like the Revenge of the Mummy, and so much scarier than the actual ride itself. This queue also has some really impressive animatronics with some really great scenes, like the witch doctor woman who's chanting and her eyes literally roll to the back of her head as the room changes color and there's fire and tribal music. Super dramatic, super intense. I love the giant worm with the teeth that you pass by right before you get on the ride. So cool to see one of the creatures of Skull Island up close. And even that projection of the Skull Island native who kind of like pops his head out of the corner in the pile of skulls. Now there are some fun facts and a little bit of history with this line. If you ever got to do it before 2020, there actually used to be a performer in the line. They had a character in the queue waiting for people to pop out and scare you at certain points of the line. It's not there anymore. Every time I go through, I think, oh my gosh, they're gonna bring it back, and this is the day I find out. And as far as like Easter eggs go, there is like one little Easter egg that I know of. When you enter the final room in the crates, there's kind of like a display case where you can see a bunch of vials and stuff like that. In the back, there is a very small statue of the Empire State Building, which in the King Kong movie is where he climbs up and ultimately falls to his demise. It is very hard to see. You have to like shine a light or look really, really hard. That's what I had to do to try to get it on video. A really great queue, in my opinion, I think one of Universal's best. My number 2 best queue here at Universal. This might be a controversial one. It might not be, but it's E.T. Adventure over Universal Studios Florida. This ride, this line, deserves a lot of respect. And 33 years later, this is still one of the best waiting experiences here at the park. You're still getting that going into the world of movies theme, but I think I really like the way that E.T. does it, where you're sort of entering this portal at a certain point in the queue. You know, you get your introduction by Steven Spielberg, you kind of get your behind the scenes about the movie outside of the building, but then once you get in, you through that log tunnel, you enter the California Redwood Forest, and that queue is just like so wonderful. I can't say anything that hasn't already been said about the E.T. queue. You know, the number one thing is that smell, that iconic forest smell. I bet you can smell it watching this video. The astronauts looking for E.T. There's a speak and spell, which I never noticed actually says, "Help E.T." on it. E.T.'s teacher, Botanicus, pops out this animatronic right here in the middle of the room that honestly, I think a lot of people don't realize is there because it can be really dark and ambient in that room. It's a bit of a smaller queue and it's very open. So even when the line is all the way filled up, it is so nice in there because the big trees are covering you. It feels nice and open. It doesn't feel cramped like some of these other queues. You're not just like in a little thin hallway. A lot of space in this queue, and I think that helps with the relaxing atmosphere of this particular queue. Like, I wish there was a way you could pay to stay overnight in the E.T. queue. And then of course, your bike arrives and you get on a really, really great ride. This is one of the best queues here at Universal, easily, but it is not number 1, okay? That is gonna go to a ride over at Islands of Adventure, and I think you know which one I might be talking about at this point. And the number 1 best line here at Universal has to be Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. You know it, I know it, Come on. I think if walking through Hogwarts Castle, just Hogwarts Castle, was an attraction here at Universal, people would love it. And in fact, for a very, very long time, before they added Express to this ride, you could do just that. They used to have a line specifically just to walk through the castle because the queue is that impressive. It is that much part of the experience here at Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. Listen, in 2010, when Universal built the first Harry Potter land, I don't think they thought they were ever going to build more Harry Potter. They put all their chips in to this one experience, and it totally paid off. There are tons of different details. All the rooms are so different from each other. You're going through the hallways, you're going through one of my favorite queue rooms in any queue, the portrait gallery that's high up above with the moving pictures, Dumbledore's office, Defense Against the Dark Arts. So much to see and do here, and this is like the epitome of amazing theme park experience that even if you're not a big Harry Potter fan, you still go through that castle and you go, wow, this is really, really well done. And it is. I don't think anyone disagrees with me. I don't think it's a very controversial opinion that Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey has the best queue of all time. And I would be so bold as to say it is better than any queue at any other theme park anywhere else. Seriously, it is that good. Now, I've got to give an honorable mention to The Race Through New York starring Jimmy Fallon. As far as queues go, this is not like really any of the other theme park lines here, but I do think there is tons of stuff to look at in here. I think they do a great job of entertaining people while they're waiting for their turn to ride. I've been to the actual 30 Rock in New York City. This is a pretty accurate representation of it. I particularly love the little hall of fame they have dedicated to all the different hosts of The Tonight Show over the years, which, by the way, this is one of the longest running TV shows in America. And I love that all of the Tonight Show hosts get represented, including my personal favorite, Conan O'Brien. Upstairs on the second floor, it's a recreation of the Rainbow Room, which is pretty accurate to the one that you wait for in the Jimmy Fallon show. There's games to entertain you, all the different clips from the show. It's a really, really cool queue that should definitely be mentioned on this list. And there you have it, folks. Those are my top 10 lines here at Universal Orlando. What do you think? What do you think of my list? Man, my hair is crazy. I'm so sorry you had to see that. It's very windy. Please let me know what you think down in the comments below. What are your top 3, your top 5? Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree with my list? Please, I'd love to hear it. But until then, I am going to get on out of here. Thank you guys for watching another one of my videos, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.